Welcome back to yet another episode. Kuda Biza here. I'm really excited that you're here, and I've been doing this series where I'm sharing lessons that I've learned from some highly successful entrepreneurs, people who I really look up to and admire. So I did one about Tony Robbins, I did another one for Strive Masiwa, and today I'm really excited to do one on Jesse Itzler. And I've had the unique opportunity to meet Jesse Itzler a couple of times now. The first time was in New York City at a summit by Next Gen. So I really got to connect with him. He gave a really good keynote, and that was my first time really listening to Jesse and just learning from him. So that was a cool experience. And then the second time I met him was at Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, and he was speaking. His wife Sarah was also speaking on stage, and I got to connect with him backstage, and he was really cool. And here's a picture of Jesse and I. What I really liked about the conversation with Jesse is I could really see that he's a genuine guy. He really is all about creating winning habits and a winning mindset and winning routines. And that really just rubbed off on me. And I went out and I bought every single book that he wrote. So Living with the Seal, Living with the Monks. And I read those, and I was buying the books as gifts for my friends over Christmas. And I also joined his Build Your Life Resume community. So I took the online course, and I was also part of his weekly calls every Wednesday. So I've really been learning a lot about, how he approaches life, what he does in order for him to really reach the level of success that he's reached. And for those of you guys that don't really know who Jesse Itzler is, he is a serial entrepreneur. He started so many businesses. A lot of them have been successful. So one of them is Zico coconut water that he built up and sold to Coca Cola. Another one is Marquis Jet that he sold to Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire and Hathaway. Now he's one of the owners of the Atlanta Hawks, the NBA team. So Jesse is really involved in a lot of things, but right now I think he's really centering his passions around being a keynote speaker, building lifestyle brands like All Day Running Co., as well as his Big Ass Calendar Club, which is a community that I highly encourage you to check out. I'm going to share some of the lessons that I've learned, just being around Jesse within his community, reading his book and his content, and really getting a sense as to what he's all about. And the first lesson that I'm going to share is ignore the limits your mind creates. If you ever get a chance to read Living with the Seal, he talks about a concept that he calls the 40% rule, which is that your mind automatically tells you to stop once you've just reached 40%. A lot of us, what we do is we listen to our mind, right? When it's telling us stop, there's danger, don't push yourself any further, we stop and we actually get to miss out on 60% of potential effort that could have taken us to that next level. So in the book, he really talks about how he pushes himself beyond that 40% threshold so that he could really max out and reach his potential. That's one key thing that I think every entrepreneur should have, is you really need to think about when your mind is telling you to stop, make sure that you just find it within yourself, dig deep to just continue pushing, and you'll see that you'll be able to achieve so many tremendous results, because your mind, just by human nature, this is a 2 million year old brain, will always want to keep you in your comfort zone. But the challenge with the comfort zone, which I even talk about in my TED talk, is that the comfort zone, there's no growth there, right? So if you really want to achieve growth, you're going to have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because only when you're outside of your comfort zone do you now actually start to experience growth. So that's the first lesson. Ignore the limits that your mind creates, push yourself over that 40%, and make sure you're always stepping outside the comfort zone. The second lesson that Jesse talks about is create your own luck. And this is a very important lesson, because sometimes in life, right, we feel like, by just sitting here, all the opportunities and the things we desire in life are just going to show up. No. Sometimes you're going to have to think outside the box. You're going to have to do things that normally you wouldn't have to do, and position yourself to be lucky. Luck isn't going to just come knocking on your door. It's like, hey, Kuda, I'm here. My name is Luck. No, it doesn't happen that way. The way it works is that you attract luck by putting yourself in a position where you actually then attract it to find you. So what does that mean? Like I said, it means stepping outside your comfort zone, creatively networking with other people so that they know what you're doing. If there are certain people that you want to be within their circle, you figure out creative ways as to how to be on their radar and make sure that they know what you're working on, because it is by doing so that you will then create your own luck. And there's a story that Jesse talks about when I was listening to one of the calls in the Build Your Life resume. He talked about a guy who DM'd Jesse and was like, hey, listen, I work on XYZ and I would be more than happy to do something for you for free. Just send me your logo and I'll do it for you. And he presented a no-lose scenario to Jesse. Jesse had nothing to lose. All he just had to do was send him the logo, and the guy was going to do all this free work for him. And guess what? The guy ended up, really impressing Jesse, and now he has gained so much business by just, shooting his shot and DMing Jesse that he essentially created his own luck. So don't let the limits that you see in life stop you from creating your own luck. Really just think outside the box, shoot your shot, DM someone, provide value without expecting anything in exchange, but at least you're on someone's radar. And before you know it, you can find yourselves in some pretty interesting conversations because you took that courage to really step outside your comfort zone and essentially create your own luck. The third lesson I've learned from Jesse is do not negotiate with your goals. I'm going to say that one again because I really want this to sink deep. Don't negotiate with your goals. Once you set that big, hairy, audacious goal, what you don't want to do is, like, when you start embarking on the journey to accomplish it, you give up. What that will just essentially do, it will take out all the momentum, all of the belief, all of the confidence that you had worked up until that point. So no matter how hard it is, stay in it until you reach the top of the mountain. In the book Living with the Seal, Jesse talks about so many different things that the seal would make him do. And even if it was waking up at like 2 a.m. to go run a marathon, he would do it. So what you want to do is you want to set those big, hairy, audacious goals and just keep at it, right? Because you'll be surprised that you might be able to achieve the things that you never thought you would be able to achieve, or at the very least, you find creative ways to actually still get to your goal. But it's really not about the goal at the end of the day. It's about the person you become in the pursuit of your goal. So it's more about the journey and the transformation you experience as you pursue this big, hairy, audacious goal. So what you don't want to do is then start negotiating with the goal, because what ends up happening is that you then mess up with the process of transformation that will be occurring as you're transforming to become this new person who has the capacity and the capability to achieve these amazing goals. What you want to do on a daily basis, and I'm still on the same point, is you want to take stock of all the small decisions you make every single day. Well, let's take time, for example. Time is not wasted in days and weeks, right? It's wasted in seconds and minutes. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that all the small micro decisions you make are in perfect alignment with your goal. Because if those small micro decisions are in alignment with where you want to go, over time, you're going to get there, because every single day you're committing, you're making those small strides to achieving that big, hairy, audacious goal, and you're going to get there. The fourth lesson that Jesse taught me, which I think is important, is do a misogi a year. Now, a lot of you are like, do a what? Yeah, that's the first thing I said when he said misogi. Misogi, it's actually a Japanese concept, and what this is, it's you do something so hard one time a year so that it actually impacts the other 364 days. Misogis are going to be different for everybody, but the key thing is do something that really stretches you, that really takes you outside of your comfort zone. Once you accomplish that, the benefits you get, the glow and the glory will really just carry you through in everything else that you're going to be doing throughout the year. So like, for instance, it could be running a marathon, right? If you've never done that before, that's your misogi. If you've never climbed Mount Everest, go do it. That's your misogi. if you consistently do that every single year, you'll find yourself just reaching new levels and reaching new heights every single year. So make sure that you identify a misogi, commit to it, achieve it, rinse and repeat every single year. The last one that I'll share is really centered around health. A lot of people nowadays, when they see how I approach my diet and my, eating and lifestyle and whatnot, they're always surprised. So for instance, I don't eat anything solid until noon, right? And I really got that from Jesse because he's also kind of like a fruits till noon type of guy. I do intermittent fasting, and I also have days where I just do water fasting, where the only thing I drink is water for 24, 36, or sometimes even 72 hours. It's something obviously that you're gonna have to read up and maybe consult your physician to see if it's good for you. But there's a lot of content that Jesse shares which really talks about, the body, your digestion, and all that stuff. One of those things that really impacted me is the whole fruits till noon. So I also do that as well, where, the only thing I eat up until noon is usually fruits after a workout, because it just really helps with my energy, my digestive system, and all that good stuff. So the key lesson there is not to be like Jesse or like myself, where you have fruits till noon, but the key thing is really looking into your lifestyle in terms of health and nutrition. Are there certain things that you need to cut out and certain things that you need to start doing? Because at the end of the day, your health is your wealth, right? So make sure that you take care of your body and you give yourself the best shot to live life to the fullest. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to be in your twilight years and just suffering from a lot of these chronic diseases and things like that. So really just pay attention to your diet, your nutrition, what you put in. At the end of the day, what you eat is who you are. So make sure that as you're pursuing to be the best versions of yourself, you really take time in really looking into what are you taking in, what are you eating, how are you eating it, because all of those things contribute to you being healthy, vibrant, full of energy, and having that life that you've always wanted. So I'm curious if you guys have other lessons that you've learned, because I'm pretty sure like you probably have heard about Jesse through, a speech, a podcast, or you're part of his Build Your Life resume or Big Ass Calendar community. So if you indeed have certain lessons that you've learned from Jesse Itzler, drop some of those lessons in the comments. I would love to see some of the things that you guys have learned and how they've impacted your life, because I'm also here to learn. And if there's anything that you want me to go deeper on the lessons that I've shared, feel free to also mention in the comments. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. What are you waiting for? And I'll see you guys on the other side.